If you're interested in learning more about business expenses in your coaching business, then stay tuned. I'm going to share a full breakdown of all of the things that I spend money on in my business each month so that you can have that behind the scenes look, and hopefully it will be helpful for you in your coaching business. Let's dive in. Hi there, welcome to the Wholehearted Business Show. I'm Laura. I help health and life coaches get more clients, grow their businesses and live the best lives while they do it. And today on the show we're talking all about business expenses, and I'm going to share a full breakdown of all of the things that I have as like regular monthly business expenses basically. And I think that this is interesting because we all like to know what's going on inside other people's worlds behind the scenes, and I think when it comes to businesses, sometimes it's really helpful just to see an example of what it looks like in someone else's. Although my business is probably a bit different from yours, it can still be really, really helpful just to see what that looks like and get that understanding from another perspective. So I'm going to share that. I often share my income in my behind the scenes posts, but I've never yet shared like a really detailed breakdown of expenses, and that's what I'm going to do today. Before we get into that full breakdown, I just wanted to touch on what a business expense actually is. And basically, these are the things that we spend money on in our businesses that help our businesses operate. So again, you're going to get a full kind of idea of what that looks like from my own examples. Obviously, you will need to discuss things with an accountant when it comes to your legal structure for your business and what is tax deductible or not. But essentially, these are the things that we are spending money on that helps our business operate, that we need to be able to make our business work. When it comes to how I track my expenses, I think I've spoken on the show before about how much I love my cash flow spreadsheet and how I literally like live and die by my cash flow spreadsheet. It is really, really key. I use that all the time, and I have a full kind of sheet in that bigger spreadsheet that lists every single expense in British pounds and in dollars. I'm going to talk a bit about this as we go through because some of my expenses are in US dollars. I live in the UK. My main currency that I use is obviously British pounds, but I pay for things in both. So I'm going to talk a bit about what that looks like in my business as well and how to manage that. But I basically track everything using a cash flow spreadsheet. I also review my expenses usually at least kind of once every 6 months, if not more often. I try and do that. And there's a couple of expenses actually that we'll cover that are things I'm probably going to cancel because as going through this episode of the show, that was kind of like a review process as well. So there's a couple of things I might cancel, but I try and review them at least every 6 months if I can. So here we go. Here's a full list of my expenses. I'm going to start off with the ones that I pay in US dollars. And at the end of this, I'll talk about how I manage paying for things in multiple currencies. So stay tuned for that in a sec. But the first expense that I have is ConvertKit, which is what I use to manage my email list. I'm a big fan of ConvertKit. I pay $79 a month for that. And it does so much in my business. It's one of my favourite tools. It manages my email list, sends out my regular newsletters. It welcomes people onto my email list when they get a freebie. It sends out automated welcome sequences and sales funnels. It kind of sends people emails when they buy one of my courses or programs. It links really, really well with the other things that I use in my business, like Thrivecart, which I'll touch on. So it's just a fantastic thing that I use all of the time. Love ConvertKit. The next thing that I use is Loom, and that is $10 a month. And I use Loom as a place to store and host my trainings, my videos and things like that, because they have to be embedded into my course platform, which is Thrive Learn, which I also use a Thrivecart, which I'm going to touch on. It's not a regular expense, it was a one-off expense, but I use that. I also use Loom to do screen share recording. So when I'm giving client feedback, I will use Loom to record the screen as I give feedback on something. I also use Loom to sometimes record video messages for potential clients, for actual clients, for all sorts of different things. So I sometimes use the app on my phone as well. So I'm a big fan of Loom. Something else I use is Dubsado. So I use Dubsado as, it's a CRM, but I tend to use it for the scheduler, which is a bit like Calendly, and also use it for contracts and for occasionally for invoicing, but usually it's mostly for program agreements that I have with clients and for scheduling. And also there's like some like forms and things in there that I use as well. So if someone's a guest on the Wholehearted Business Show, that's all managed in Dubsado. They fill in a form. It kind of all works in that way. So again, massive fan of Dubsado. That's $30 a month. Use that a lot as well. Descript is another thing. I use Descript to edit the episodes of the Wholehearted Business Show. That's $15 a month. Amazing tool that I use again week in, week out. helps me take these videos, these podcasts, edit them up, make them hopefully really, really good. And it also turns it into shorter clips that I use on social media as well. Then we have Buzzsprout, which I pay $18 a month for. That is my podcast host. So Buzzsprout hosts all the podcasts, sends them out to Spotify, Apple, all the different places. I also included in that cost is Magic Mastering, which means that the sound quality is hopefully improved when it goes out as well. It kind of has that element to it. Again, fantastic. I absolutely love Buzzsprout. It's got some really, really great features, really, really easy to use. I will put links to all of these things in the description as well. So if you want to go and check them out, you can. Some of them will be affiliate links as well, but massive fan of Buzzsprout. Another expense that I have is Notion. So again, another tool that I literally live and die by in my life. You don't have to pay for Notion. There is a free version, but I decided to have the paid version so that I have more backups in terms of potentially losing content and things like that if anything goes wrong. Again, just use Notion for so much. It's really just an essential tool for me, so I'm happy to pay that $6 a month. Then there's $20 on Dropbox. This gives me extra storage so that I can have files and things stored off my laptop, which makes my laptop a bit faster. So I have that extra storage, and that is all covered in Dropbox, and that's $20 a month. Then I have a tool called Milanote, which is $12.50 a month. I was using it really for like mapping out things visually in kind of like flowchart form for clients and for myself in terms of things like sales funnels. I can probably replace that with Canva. I think it was just really handy at one certain point when I was using it for myself to kind of get my head around things, but that's probably something I'm going to cancel. But that was a great tool when it kind of worked for what I needed it for, but actually Canva does the same kind of job really. Then there's Tailwind, which I use with Pinterest for Pinterest scheduling. The way that I've used Pinterest has changed quite a bit, and it's something that I need to review, but I might cancel that because I'm not sure how much I actually get out of using Tailwind for $14.99 a month, so I might change that one. Another expense I've got in dollars is Hello Audio, and that hosts my private podcast feed for Wholehearted Business. So if you remember Wholehearted Business, my group program, which will be reopening in September for anyone who wants to join, it's an amazing program. You get access to a private podcast feed which has all of the call recordings on there, but also extra trainings and extra podcast episodes that I only share with the people in Wholehearted Business, and that is hosted on Hello Audio, which basically has these private podcast feeds so no one else can access them anywhere else. Another expense I have is Save My Leads, and that's $19 a month, and this basically works with my Facebook and Instagram ads. So when people fill in the form on Facebook, I use Facebook lead forms and Instagram lead forms. This Save My Leads basically takes people when they fill that form in and sends them over to ConvertKit. I use that method because it gives you a better, or the theory is that it gives you a better cost on your Facebook ads when you use Facebook lead forms. So I use Save My Leads to take people over from Facebook. I'm also in a program called To Be Magnetic, which is $20 a month. And this is something that I joined a few months ago. To Be Magnetic is all about manifestation. That's the kind of primary thing of it, but actually the way that I use it is more around a tool for helping me be calmer, work on my subconscious mind, all of the things that are really, really helpful in my business in terms of having tools and resources and things that I can use that are around mindset. So ultimately it's about manifestation, but actually a lot of it's really, really practical stuff. And I'm a massive fan of that program. And like I say, for me, it's much more about the ways that I use it for helping my mindset than anything else. So those are all of my current US dollar expenses. The total of that is $259 a month. So those are my US dollar expenses. And then the expenses that I pay in British pounds include my mobile phone. That all runs through the business. That is £99 a month. It's a lot of money. I think it's gone up crazily over the last few months with the cost of living and inflation and stuff. That'll be coming right down, and I think there's part of that's offset as well because obviously I don't use my phone like wholly for the business, so there's stuff that goes on there, but basically that's £99 for the phone, for my mobile, for my iPhone. And then I have Zoom, which is £14.39, a bit of a random number, but I use that lots and lots obviously for my one-to-one calls, group calls, doing trainings, use that week in and week out in the business as well. Then I have a bank service charge of £7 a month. So I bank with Lloyds, which I would not recommend, to be fair. I'm still with Lloyds because I've got access to a business overdraft, which gives me a little bit of like mental security It gives me a little bit of mental financial security to know that I've got that option. I probably could have that with other banks, but at the moment it's just been too much of a hassle to transfer to a different bank. I'd love to be with Monzo Business. I've got Monzo personally, but I have the bank service charge and that's fine. Then I have my accountancy costs as well. So I pay £108 to my accountant every month, and he's absolutely amazing. I adore my accountant. He does so much for obviously for sorting out all of my business expenses, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm a limited company, so he helps me with all of that, and he's absolutely incredible. So I have, big love for my accountant. He's wonderful. Then I have Google Apps, which I pay £30 for, and this is for using Gmail and all of the associated Google stuff. I have several email addresses that I have this for. I need to review this because I think I'm on a higher plan than I need to be for a lot of them. But I have several different email addresses because I've had several different domains over the years, which I haven't quite wanted to get rid of completely. And also I have my assistant's, my VA's email address that she operates from, which is the Hello email address. And I pay for that as well. So that's £30 a month. Then you use Canva, which is $10.99 a month. Obviously, Canva, massive. You use it for all sorts of design stuff, for, creating the thumbnails for the videos that go with this episode of the show, to creating stuff for clients, for images for the blog posts, like everything. Use Canva for all sorts of stuff, for designing brands for websites and things as well when I'm working with clients on their websites. So use Canva for so much stuff as well. I have $3.99 a month goes to HP Instant Ink because I often print out client notes and things to keep things kind of safe, have backups of stuff. So I have my printer and the ink that comes with that. So that's Instant Ink. Then I have business insurance, which is £50 a month. I have quite comprehensive business insurance that covers lots of different things. And that's with Hiscox, and that's £50 a month. And then finally, I have my virtual assistant, and I have her for 5 hours a month. That is £175, and she helps me with a range of different tasks in the business. She's very efficient, so 5 hours is just about right for me in terms of scheduling these episodes of the show up, in terms of managing the general inbox, in terms of doing emails that go out to Wholehearted Business every week, like all sorts of things that she does. And she's incredible, and it's a very, very worthwhile business expense. So my total expenses in British pounds is £518.37. My total expenses each month are £724 or $931. So that's kind of where I'm at with expenses. And like I say, it's kind of like sometimes I look at that number and I'm not really sure what the guidelines are for what's a high business expense versus a low business expense. But when I look at that list of stuff, I would really struggle to operate the business without those things in place. Like there's some things that you can't do without, like insurance, like accountancy fees, to a certain degree, like my virtual assistant, I need that support. So there's not a lot of stuff that I can cut out of that. Like I say, there was a couple of things in there that I think can go, but generally speaking, I need those things in place to be able to make the business run in a reasonable way. Not everyone's business is going to need those things, and there probably would be corners that I could cut if I had to, but actually, again, the whole purpose of business expenses in a way is about making your business run more effectively and hopefully making it profitable in other ways and in other areas. So those are the things that I spend my money on. Like I say, all the links will be in the description if you want to go and check out any of those tools and any of those things. That's fine. You can go and check those out. And then when it comes to paying for things in multiple currencies, a couple of years ago, I changed how I did this, and it's been really, really great so far. So I have, as well as my Lloyd's business account, I have a Wise account where I hold a balance in dollars. And what this means is that when someone pays me in dollars, which quite a few clients and obviously courses, sales and things like that, because I charge in two currencies, will come in US dollars. And all of those payments go through Stripe and then land into my Wise account as dollars. Then all of my dollar expenses come out of that pot. So basically I'm saving on the conversion of currency every time someone pays me or I pay something in dollars. So that works really, really well. So all of the expenses that are in dollars come out of the dollar amount. And then if any of that dollar amount needs to be transferred into British pounds, I can do that inside Wise and then just transfer that over to my Lloyd's business account. So that's a great way of managing multiple currencies. It works really, really well for me. It means that I'm not getting hammered on conversion fees when it comes to paying for things in a different currency. It just is so much more streamlined and effective to do it that way as well. And then finally, there's obviously other expenses that aren't just the monthly regular things. There's one-off expenses, there's random expenses, there's things like obviously if I myself access coaching and training, which I will do on a regular basis in lots of different ways. So there's things like events that I might go to, a bit like a Tomicon that I went to in June, and the accommodation costs associated with that if I choose to do that. There's ads that I'm paying for as well. So at the moment I'm kind of working with an ads budget of £150 a month that I'm spending on Facebook and Instagram ads. So that kind of comes into the mix as well. You know, there might be one-off tech tools that I buy. So when I talked about Thrive Cart and Thrive Learn, which is what I host my courses on, and the cart system that I use to sell stuff, that was a one-off cost that I paid for last year. And then this year, a one-off cost was something I paid for, which was ConvertBox, which is like little pop-up boxes that come up on your website. So there's often one-off costs and things like that are all mixed in with that again are purposeful for the running of the business, and they can hopefully help me be more profitable in the short and long term as well. So I really hope that's been interesting. I'd love to know if you've got any questions on this. I hope it's kind of just, you know, let you have a little bit of a look underneath it all to kind of see the things that I'm spending money on. And like I say, there's no, like, my version of things is not right or wrong. It's just, this is what my expenses look like for my business, and yours will probably look differently. If you've got any questions, please do let me know. You know, pop me a DM on Instagram. I'm at wholeheartedlylaura. Really happy to answer any questions. If you're watching on YouTube, leave me a comment. Let me know if you've got any thoughts on this one. Like, what are your business expenses like if you're already running your coaching business? What kind of things are you spending money on? Is there any things that you are thinking about cancelling, or any new things that you want to invest in? It would be really interesting to know what that looks like for you. So I hope that's been helpful, everybody. I will be back next week, and I will see you then. Take care. Bye.